Setup on the Digital Drop Live right here on Twitter, 9 a.m. every single weekday. What's up? It's AWOL. And I'm joined, as always, by Ross, Dylan, and we have a major upgrade to our video and our audio here. Ross, say something so that you appear on the screen.
Nathan Robbins, he just tweeted at us 30 seconds ago and says, "Where is everyone?" Here we are.
You're right here.
We're almost right on time. Yeah. 8 minutes late.
We just upgraded our video and our audio here. We are now using a new video platform to increase our quality, our production quality, because we're doing an episode about why production quality doesn't matter at all to your audience. Do you care that we just upgraded our production quality? Or are you just here to hear what we have to say and our expertise? And the answer may surprise you. So in this episode, we're going to talk about quantity versus quality when it comes to growing your channel, growing your social media accounts, growing your online business, doing marketing in general. So many companies, so many brands focus on having the perfect trailer, having the perfect banner, having the perfect avatar, having the perfectly edited piece of content to promote themselves, to get subscribers, XYZ. They spend hours and hours and hours redoing that piece of content over and over and over again until a month later it finally gets released. Well, is that the right approach, Ross? Should you be obsessing over every single piece of content in this internet age?
No. I was just thinking about why you were saying that. If you actually take a step back and when you're going through social media, YouTube, or whatever it is, the majority of the videos that you like, and I say this as a realization, like it just hit me, are not good quality videos.
Yeah, that's basically it. They are not good quality.
They're not.
The stuff that shows up in your feed is like, somebody just saying something ridiculous with like a little meme bar at the top, or like, I don't know, a picture of a kid kicking a dog in the nuts. I mean, like, like the content we watch and we like is just ridiculous. It's low quality garbage.
What Reddit threads are you on?
All of them, man. Top talent. I'm on like Twitch fails. I'm on all of the hottest subreddits.
Clearly.
But yeah, the quality doesn't matter that much. The production quality. I mean, I'd like to take what you're doing at VGF Gamers, for example. No offense, bro.
Thanks, man. Jesus, God.
Yeah, but posting gaming memes is not, the highest quality content from a production quality standpoint, right? It's just an image with, a picture of something hilarious below it. And it doesn't really matter at all what the quality of that content is as long as you can see it, right? So, I mean, what is your bar for quality in terms of getting people to engage?
If they can read it and if they don't have to zoom in to look at it and try and read it. That's literally it. A secret that I have with VGF Gamers, if you go to the profile and go over and hit the likes, I only like things that I've posted that have gotten over 200 retweets and 200 likes. That way, it's kind of just like there. If people want to see, what's been the most popular gaming memes that I've posted recently, it's all right there. 90% of those, when you go and look at them, look like they were done by an 8-year-old.
Yeah, because they were. I mean, you're basically an 8-year-old stuck in a man's body.
You're right.
Yeah.
It literally pretty much was.
I mean, anybody who can post the tens of thousands of gaming memes has got problems. He's got problems with growing up, and that's okay. But anyway, so production quality is something that I think can hold a lot of people back before they launch their podcast, before they really put themselves out there on YouTube. And I'd like to kind of dive in and talk a little bit more about it. So here's one example. So speaking of subreddits, I follow the Twitch subreddit, Mixer subreddit, YouTube gaming subreddit, Facebook gaming, and I follow what all of these streamers are constantly talking about, right? And one of these big celebratory posts that you see out there for content creators is, take a look at my studio and my rig. And they take a picture of like the studio I'm in right now, right? And everybody's like, wow, incredible. You have your computer and your mic and your lights and wow. And then, so what? So a lot of the like build up to doing live streams is to actually put together the rig and to put together the setup and to put together the studio, but it's not about the content itself. And there have been many, many posts on the Mixer subreddit in particular where people have talked about, I spent 8 months or 12 months or 16 months saving up to make that incredible dream studio. And now I'm finding it difficult to find motivation to actually do the streaming itself. And that's something that a lot of people run into, especially people with expendable income, is they buy the camera, they buy the mic, they buy all the lights, they're ready to rock. And what they're doing is they're actually using that equipment and buying the equipment as an excuse not to make the content itself.
That's deep. And it's accurate too. It's actually really accurate. It's one of those lessons. And I understand why people do it. You feel like it's something that could be of interest to you. You feel like it's something you could enjoy. And, when you have the exposable income and you get everything you need to make the top quality, make sure you have the look for it. It's to hype yourself up. And that doesn't always work. I can't think of one current creator who started off with high quality. Can you think of any off the top of your head? I honestly can't.
Not right now.
I'm sure there was, but
certainly none of the mega creators that are out today that are like the big multi-million subscriber YouTubers and what have you. None of them started with high quality. It's so true. I always bring up Alex Costa as an example. When you look at his early Instagram posts when he started his account, it was just like anybody else's account. But over time, it got better and better, hiring professional photographers, doing more Photoshop. Eventually, you got to see this fashion industry caliber photography and photo work on his Instagram account. But he didn't start that way. And you take a look at, MKHD or PewDiePie, and when they started out, their quality was hot garbage. They were just looking into a webcam, talking into their webcam mic in their room. But the content they were doing started out pretty decent. They were doing tech reviews, they were doing funnies in their room, and they were just being who they are. And at the end of the day, the content and the value of the content carries you through. So one thing go ahead, man.
No, I was just going to say that's a good point. And it takes me back to what I was saying. I need to kind of backtrack a little bit because what I was trying to get at is that if you don't have a passion from the get-go, that you're not going to be able, it's going to be hard to hype yourself up just by buying new equipment. But what we're looking at here and like what you're talking about seems like these people already have really good experience and maybe they've worked in the field already. So they already have access to that top-notch equipment. What I was saying, they could still have the passion. If that makes any sense. I'm just trying to cover my own tail here.
No, that totally makes sense. And one thing that we need to talk about when it comes to production quality. So on your YouTube channel or on your socials, on Twitch, on what have you, the more often you're showing up in feeds, the better, especially on platforms like Twitter, especially on platforms like Instagram and TikTok. The more often, the better. And so if you're looking to have that perfect photo, that perfect video, and what have you, you're going to fall behind other people. I know that one thing you've always talked about, Ross, when it comes to Twitter is your main delta with growth on Twitter is quantity, and time is the big X factor on Twitter. And what you mean by that is, the more you post, the more you show up in feeds, right? So how do you think about time and quantity over quality and frequency when it comes to posting on socials?
Yeah, that's a good question. And you pretty much, you hit it right on the head that platforms like Instagram still a little bit, we've talked about this before, like Twitter, YouTube in some way, where if you can get organic traction on a platform, then quantity becomes more important than quality, because you do have to get more out the door, especially on Twitter, where, people are going through their timelines real quick. Half the time they're not even going to see what you post anyway. So by doing quantity, you're just trying to get seen once or twice out of maybe 10 posts that you actually get out. But with Facebook, it's actually interesting. I can actually see, and this is probably why you see a lot higher quality content on Facebook. And that's because you pretty much have to pay to get it seen anyway. So at that point, it becomes how much money can you afford to dump into it? That's how many people are going to see it. And that's just Facebook's business model. But yeah, it really is. It's timing over anything, quantity over quality. It's just sum up. It's literally what I just said. You're only going to, on platforms that you're only going to have organic growth, you're only going to be seen out of 10 posts, maybe, 3 times. So you do have to do quantity over quality. And if you're spending all of your time 8 hours a day making one good piece of content, one good video, one high quality meme, and then getting out at the door, and you're not doing yourselves any favors. You're not. And plus, it honestly just doesn't matter on a platform like Twitter or Instagram, where you only have people's attention spans for 20 seconds anyway. They don't care you have to be able to suck them in regardless. It doesn't matter what the quality is. Am I wrong?
No, it's all about the value of the content. And we've talked about those values before. And, best, education, challenge. We've gone over them: unique, celebrity. There are certain basic values that people will click for and watch for, regardless of what your content quality is, your production quality is. And that's just something that you just kind of have to accept. And so we aren't just telling you this, we are doing this. And so with this podcast, when we got sponsored by Rode microphones, we were like, you know what, we're going to have this highly produced podcast. It's going to be this like crispy, best audio you could ever want podcast. Ross edited every episode for hours, et cetera, et cetera. And, our numbers dipped when we did that versus when I was posting on YouTube all the time and going live all the time. Our numbers dipped a lot. Now, the numbers were still good. We're still getting a couple thousand views an episode, but overall, we were getting a lot less viewership and we were a lot less relevant when we went highly produced with this show in particular. Now, recently, we all had a chat and we decided, why are we doing that? Why are we not taking our own advice? And so now, even with this podcast, instead of doing one every week or 2 weeks, we're doing 5 per week. We're doing 10 every 2 weeks. We are doing 20 episodes of this podcast every single month, so that we're showing up in your feeds every day on Twitter at 9 a.m., every day on YouTube a couple hours later, every day on every podcasting platforms a couple hours after that. And sure, each episode may not have as much value per episode because it's not as scripted, it's not as blah, blah, blah. But I think overall, it provides people with a lot more benefit because they can interact with us more often. We're showing up in their feed more often, and we can be that voice of encouragement and of inspiration more often to our audience. And so I think that having a high quantity strategy when it comes to social media, YouTube, Twitch, and the whole nine actually better serves your audience. When you think about the interest that you have, Ross, I mean, do you just have that interest once a week? Or are you interested in that thing every single day, right? I mean, you don't...
You're spot on. If you're passionate about it, then it's something you're going to be thinking about every single day. Some people, depending on your situation, all day long. And our case study with doing this is actually really good. If you want actual proof of what's happening, and we're not saying this to brag about our numbers or anything because we're never satisfied with them anyway. If you go and look from when we started doing 2 weeks ago, by the way, when we started going live on Twitter every day, you can see the gradual increase of viewers every single episode to a T. So if you need any more proof that quantity over quality is how you're going to be able to grow on these platforms, just look at what we're doing. And also, just speaking to Twitter and a little bit to Instagram, maybe, don't forget to think about how other people are thinking, how other people view other content that's on there. When you're posting a high quality video on Twitter, do you know right now what the majority of the high quality videos on Twitter all are? And they are advertisements. They are sponsored tweets right there. So people, if they see high quality, I'm guilty of doing it. The first thing I do is have that negative assumption that this is an advertisement of some sort and not not any content that I would be interested in. And if at that point, if I even give the video a chance, I already have a negative view going into it and it's not going to end well. At that point, I'm not sharing it. So to that point, lower quality videos and stuff on Twitter and platforms like that, where you're going to get organic growth, they can actually hurt you too if you're not careful.
That makes sense. You want to stand out, especially as an individual creator, from the highly produced content that is out there. And you want to appear to be more genuine and authentic, and you want to be more genuine and authentic. And that's a really critical point. I actually think businesses, anybody out there who's a social media manager running a business or thinking about building a brand, You need to be thinking about this for your company as well. Your polished trailer for your product, your highly produced drone shots, whatever video that you're producing for your company, people are going to instantly sniff that out as being an ad, and you're trying to sell them something. Whereas if you come in with something that's more real, more genuine, more authentic, something that looks like it was filmed on a phone or in somebody's bedroom, or has like cheeky graphics that are maybe not so polished and are a little bit rough around the edges, that kind of content's going to come across much stronger. That's the whole reason why influencer marketing is blowing up right now. That's the reason why you guys are listening to us rather than reading a book on social media marketing, or only taking masterclass.com courses on the subject and what have you, is because that you want to get the information from someone that's authentic and has authority. And standing out versus those advertisements is really, really important. I think that that's a great point. If you look at PewDiePie as an example, even recently, his video quality was hot trash until like this year. He just couldn't figure out for some reason how to use his camera properly. And it was a joke that his audience like threw at him all the time. And he had 720p video. It was kind of grainy and garbage looking, even though he had like a $20,000 camera with a $5,000 lens and like obviously millions of dollars to produce videos. He just had low video quality, and it didn't matter at all. Biggest creator out there. Okay, so you get it? Quantity over quality wins on the internet. Go, go, go. And let's talk about a little bit about YouTube in particular for just a moment. So one thing that, people may be concerned about is, if you post too many videos on your YouTube channel that are stinkers, then you can cause detriment to your channel, right? And that's a major concern. And so what I tell people is that before you have content on your YouTube channel, which all of you should be releasing content on YouTube. If you're not, like, you're dead in the water. YouTube is the best platform to grow on right now. I don't know. What do you think, Ross? Do you still consider YouTube number one? You're not even a YouTube guy. What do you think?
It's absolutely number one. It's not even a question. And I don't know, maybe you know this, and I've heard this was maybe a year or two ago. It's actually like the YouTube is like the number 2 or number 3 search engine.
It's the number 2 search engine in the world behind only Google, and it dwarfs everything else. So Google and YouTube are number 1 and number 2.
That's crazy.
So YouTube. So you know that if you post a stinker video on your channel, it can cause detriment to your channel, right? And so when you're starting out and before you understand what content is really going to take off for you or what the winning formats are, just throw everything up on YouTube and upload as often as you possibly can, especially in the beginning. And this is the biggest mistake I see young YouTubers making, or new YouTubers making, is they don't upload enough content to figure out what's going to work for them. They're like, hey, take a look at my channel, and I can't get any traction. What's going on here? And then I look, and they uploaded like 12 videos. Like, dude, come to me when you uploaded 100 videos at least. Like, you need to figure out format. And they're like, well, it takes me like 12 hours to 16 hours to edit every one of my videos because I do these tech reviews where I'm doing all these B-roll shots and I'm doing the XYZ. I'm like, I understand that you want to be a top tech reviewer and that you want to look like the big guys and that you want to be as good as the guys that are already at endgame. But guess what? You're at the starting line right now, and you need to act like you're at the starting line. And what happens when you're at the starting line is you run, and you throw every piece of video up there on your channel that you can until you figure out a format or a particular niche or a particular way of executing your content that works. Once you find that, then you erase everything else but that, and you double down on the thing that worked. That's how you win with the YouTube channel. And that's how you figure out what people are actually going to give a shit about when they watch your content on the internet, is by throwing quantity out there. If you only, like, if you have 100 pieces of content that you release on the internet, maybe 2 of them will be good and work. But it took you 100 pieces of content to figure that out. If you only release 10 pieces of polished content instead, you might have 0 pieces of content that worked out. You're setting yourself up for failure by not uploading a ton of content on the internet. You get it? Like, you get instant feedback, right?
That's a really, really good point. How for creators or people who are wanting to be influencers, just starting off, that's a really good point right there. That it has to be for you just starting off. It has to be quantity over quality. It has to be, because if you're going to be serious about this at all, you have to find out what's going to work. And, it's amazing. You come across that all the time. I know you've told me stories about it before. I've seen it from the social media side where people will literally, 50 posts in, if they don't have, 100 followers or whatnot, it's like, stop. It's like you don't even know what's working. You have no idea. In my personal experience, and I'd love to see for yours on YouTube, I didn't know what I was doing with the Twitter account until 4,000 tweets in.
4,000 tweets
4,000. Now, obviously, tweeting is a lot easier than actually like putting together like content, putting a video. So there is that. So I don't know how you'd want to round that down. But what, like for you on your YouTube channels and stuff, what is it 100? Is that the magic number?
No, there is no magic number. That's the thing.
Right.
I'd like to point out that, for some people, they get an early hit on their YouTube channel that starts blowing their channel up within 20 videos. Yeah. For some YouTubers, it maybe is 300 or 400 videos before they figure out the craft and they can really excel. And for others, it takes thousands. If you take somebody like Rurikon, I bring him up as an example of somebody who grinded for thousands. He made literally thousands of videos on his YouTube channel before he ended up finding a game that really grew his channel significantly. He was stuck in the tens of thousands of subscriber range after thousands of videos. And he eventually came across the game Monster Hunter World, and he became the authority on that game when it came out. But the thousands of repetitions of making videos that he had made before that had prepared him for the moment when Monster Hunter World would come out, when he was an expert video editor. He was great at making thumbnails. He had developed his personality. He knew how to deliver the great audio. He knew how to cover a game effectively. And he knew how to crank out content like a beast. And so when that game came out, it was a guide on this, it was a guide on that, it was a guide on this, it was a guide on that, back to back to back to back. And his channel exploded from tens of thousands of subscribers to up into the six-figure hundreds of thousands of subscribers range, because he had done the quantity to prepare him for that moment. When that topic came along, that opportunity came along for him to crush and for him to be able to pay all of his bills and go full-time as a creator as a result. That propelled him into that position where he's at today. And I love that story because so many YouTubers think that they're going to get that early success because they think that their content is good or they think that they deserve it. And the bottom line is you don't deserve it. But what you can do is you can put yourself in a position to where if the opportunity comes along, you can capitalize. That's the way the internet works. That's the way it actually is. Another example is Yang. Yeah. Somebody that also worked for us in TGN early on. He made tons and tons of videos on his YouTube channel for a long time, got very little traction for a while, and eventually he figured out a format that he's currently using for his YouTube channel that really blew him up, and now he's over 1 million subscribers, but he made thousands of videos. Gaming news videos. One of the most competitive spaces, competing with IGN and with GameSpot and like the biggest competitors. And he just is like, I'm just going to do my thing. I'm just going to grind and I'm going to get there. And I watched him over the years do that grind. And eventually he became an authority on the subject, but only because he created thousands of pieces of content to get there. You get it?
That's amazing. It's like yours and my role model, Miley Cyrus, always said, it's the climb. And that applies to creating content and everything. The most important part is your journey up. It's not what you do when you get there. And that's true for experience. It's true for everything in life. Miley Cyrus, the Socrates of our time.
Oh my gosh, so true. All right, I'm playing the outro music. Hopefully you guys were inspired. Go release whatever content you can get out the door. If nothing you're releasing right now is taking off, then you're not doing it right. Release more content to figure it out. Don't edit harder. Release more content. That's how you figure out what's going to work. Get a rough cut out, not a final perfect cut, because perfection doesn't matter if no one is watching. Thank you so much for listening to The Digital Drop. We'll be here live on Twitter at 9 a.m. Eastern every single weekday. Ross A. Dillon, it was a pleasure chatting with you on this new video platform. Our production quality increased.
It did. Pleasure as always. And then we all know after this episode that quality is what matters.
Yeah. So, so now that, I'm looking at our numbers right now and when we went live and our production quality increased. Did our numbers increase, Ross?
I don't think so, man. I don't know.
I don't think they did. See you in the next episode, guys. Adios.